Welcome to No Excuses with Deanna Parrish, your go-to guide to Jasper, Alabama real estate market. From residential homes to commercial opportunities and the deals most people overlook. We're kicking things off with an introductory Q&A to get to know our host, their journey, their perspective on real estate here in Jasper and around Smith Lake, and also what you can expect from this podcast. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Deanna Parrish. A lot of people know me as Deanna Hallman, but I got married a couple of years ago, so my name's changed. And I live in Jasper, Alabama. I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for over 10 years.
How did you get into real estate and what drew you to this industry?
Well, I've always loved the land business. Through high school and college, I worked for an attorney doing title searches. And then after I graduated college, I had a friend ask me what the hell I was doing in fashion merchandising, that I knew the land business and should be in the oil business. So I did that for 40 years. I was a landman for 40 years, buying minerals and mineral leases all across the country. And then I became a mineral land manager and had a brokerage, and we worked from coast to coast. And then while I was doing that, I had several people approach me about becoming a realtor. And I just couldn't figure out, that's been 25 years ago. I just couldn't figure out how I could do both positions at once because I was all busy and all encompassing with the oil and gas side. And anyway, so finally, 11 years ago, I started working on my real estate license and became a realtor. Then I got my brokerage license. And I've hopped around a little bit, but I finally found my home with Magnolia Land and Homes. And we do commercial and we do residential real estate. And I love it. I love working with people. I love working with problems. And I guess that's why a lot of times I get problem cases, but that's what I seem to attract. But that's okay. Not everybody can work with that. And I know the ins and outs, so that helps.
What have been some of your biggest accomplishments so far?
Some of my biggest accomplishments. Last year, I had a commercial listing, and it was a little problematic as they wanted $1.5 million more than it was really worth. So it took us several months, and finally I was like, nobody's looking at this because it's listed too high, and it's in an area that's not our hottest area in the city. It's on Highway 78, but it was on the west side of the city, and that area just hasn't grown recently. And so I contacted someone I thought would be the perfect buyer because I knew they were looking to build a building about that size. And so I contacted a local church, a mega church, and we worked together for 6 months, and then they brought in their own realtor. But anyway, I did all their due diligence for them in the meantime and saved some steps. And that was the weirdest deal I think I've worked in a long time because my client was not completely honest with me. And when you're not honest with your realtor, it's hard for that realtor to cover your bases. And I like to treat my clients like I'm their mama bear and take care of them. But if they're not giving you the truth, it's just virtually impossible to do. And he was in foreclosure, and he was foreclosed on before the day he signed the contract. I found out the next day that he had been foreclosed on, and he could not admit that to me. So that turned into a fraudulent case. And we were able to work through that because I was able to call around and call the bank and say, look, I have been working on a deal for this for 6 months, and it's going to take us 3 more months to close, but I can get this one sold for higher than what you foreclosed on it for. And we made the deal happen. But that was only by the grace of God and a lot of patience on my part. And patience is something I used to not have, and I prayed for it, and I learned it the hard way.
What are some of your biggest lessons you've learned as a realtor?
Biggest lessons I've learned as a realtor. Find your area. Define an area. Don't just work all over the county. You can waste time driving 20 or 30 miles out of the way to an area that maybe you're not as familiar with, or that it's just not the potential that you want in your business. And I have gotten, in the last couple of years, I have learned there are just areas I shouldn't work in because the people there think differently, and they do things that cause more problems to close or to sell a home than is necessary. Like they move over on a line and they never get a survey, and then they start moving their fence over on someone else's property, and it can just be a nightmare. I've worked through that all my life, but I don't need clients like that. I need clients that know where they are, what they have, and want to sell their property correctly, not somebody that's trying to beat their cousin out of an acre of land. It's crazy, some of the things that you can run into. But define your area. So mine is Jasper and Smith Lake. I do land transactions in other counties that I have worked, but I'm familiar with those counties. And like I even have a home in my hometown of Butler, or Butler, as we say down there. I have a home listed in Butler because I have friends there, but I know that area. I grew up there. So know your areas. Don't try to step too far outside of the box without learning your area.
Having 40 years of experience in real estate, do you think real estate is for everyone, or does it take a certain type of person to succeed in it?
It does take a certain type of mentality to succeed. Now, I know teachers have done well, but that's because they have their students that'll come back to them and do business. But you need to keep an income stream for your first 3 years at least to get established as a realtor. But a type A personality works really well in real estate. And I had someone tell me that I have a type A personality, and I have worked all my life trying not to have that type of personality. So I really am a double A, as I finally told one HR director that on a mission committee that I worked with. And I said, that's the only thing I know. I've always had to go and do and push myself. And that's what you have to do. You have to push things through to get your deals to close. So you need that type of mentality.
You named your podcast No Excuses. How did that come into fruition?
Well, I wanted to name my podcast Whatever It Takes, because you have to do whatever it takes to to get to closing. And that didn't resonate well. So we started with No Excuses. So there are no excuses for some things happening, like in your business. You need to educate your client as to what their home needs to look like or their business needs to look like for you to be able to sell it. You also need to, or maybe you don't need to, but I go above and beyond, because if I go over there and there are leaves on the ground and or on the sidewalk, and I have a showing, I make sure I have a blower in the back so I can blow those leaves away and they don't get tracked all through the business or the home, which is ideal if your client has done that prior to, but that doesn't always happen. A lot of times I'm selling homes where the people have moved and I'm having to get their grass cut and their house cleaned and water their plants. Or one that I sold last year that was particularly problematic is they had a lot of work done and they'd spent several $1,000s having that work done. And one of the things was they had added a dehumidifier. Well, I walked in, couldn't find the dehumidifier, and I could smell that they had used it or thought that it smelled better or whatever in there. And then that went by a week, and the next week I walked in, I'm like, oh, okay, the dehumidifier must not be running because it smelled a little musty. And you've just got to be able to pick up on things like that. So I called my clients. I said, now I can't find your dehumidifier. Where is it? And they said, well, it's under the house. Well, anyway, long story short, the dehumidifier hadn't been running the first week. It just had aired out with all the work they had done. And so the second week, when it started smelling musty again, I went under the house. And my clients died laughing. They were like, you went under our house? You went in the crawl space? And I said, well, yeah, you just spent $40,000 encapsulating it. So I felt like I wouldn't see anything down there that was a problem. And I found that your electrician did a wonderful job getting everything else worked, but he put these in place, but he didn't seem to plug them up. And, you know, a dehumidifier needs to be plugged in. And anyway, so we got that all resolved. The house sold without a problem. My clients were thrilled to death, but they laughed. They still laugh about me going under their house. And sometimes you just got to be prepared for that. That's the no excuses part of my podcast. There are no excuses for some things, and you should be checking what those are, ticking off all the inspection reports or any due diligence problems, making sure that everything is in place.
What's your main goal with the podcast?
My main goal here is to bring awareness to our area. We get a bad reputation a lot of times in this area for past happenings and because we keep electing stupid officials. But that's going to happen all over the world, so we have to work around that. There are wonderful, nice Christian people here. There are Jewish people here. We have people of all nationalities living here, and it's a beautiful area. We are on the foothills of the Appalachians, and so it's a very scenic area. We have the Bankhead National Forest in our community and Smith Lake. And Smith Lake is the second cleanest lake in the country. Sometimes it's third, but anyway, it's 550 miles of shoreline. It's a man-made lake, and it's Alabama Power owns the lake, but it's our residential resort area, and it's beautiful. It's clean. It's the cleanest water east of the Mississippi. And so I just want to kind of bring awareness to that and some of the wonderful things we have working here. We're revitalizing downtown, and that's going extremely well. We've had breweries and wine tasting shops open up and new restaurants, and we have venues all the time. Our Bankhead House hosts a summer series, and I expect to get some of these people on here to introduce them to the world so people can see that we're not just a bunch of rednecks in Walker County. We do have some class and some education and some things going well besides the sheriff's race.
Who is this podcast for, and what kind of conversations or topics can listeners expect?
I hope we could reach a market of people that are looking to move to the South and may not realize, they've heard horror stories about Alabama all their lives and may not realize that we're really a beautiful place to live. I love Alabama, so excuse me for being emotional. We are culturally diverse. We are biologically diverse. We are one of the most compact but environmentally diverse states in the country. We're just as biologically diverse as California. We're just more compact. You can get to the beaches in 5 hours from where I live in Jasper, or you can get to the cleanest lake in 30 minutes. Really, it's about 3 miles, but by road it takes 20 to 30 minutes with traffic. So I want to introduce people to that. I want to introduce them to the fact that we have brilliant people here and other assets like say museums and outside venues and wonderful camping spots. And we're very close to Birmingham. It's only a 30 to 40 minute trip if you hit I-22. We're 2.5 hours from Nashville. We're 2.5 hours from Memphis. We're 2 hours from Montgomery, which, well, it can take longer if you have to hit Highway 65 or Interstate 65. But anyway, we are a growing community thanks to the advent of what we used to call Corridor X, and now it's I-22. The area is growing. We have new homes being built. It's a great commutable area to Birmingham, and I just want to introduce people to that. And I'm going to be bringing in leaders in our area, senators, some doctors, some finance people. I have a whole list, some designers, and I just want to introduce people to our community and to the people that live here and what all they can bring and why it's a wonderful place to raise your family.
How do you typically help buyers, sellers, or investors you work with?
All right, so far, how do I help sellers? I go all in. I get the best photographer I can find. If it's selling with some land or if it's just a land sale, I usually get the best drone photographer I can find and show it in as many ways as I can. Then I list it on several different platforms like land.com, Farm and Home, I don't know, of course our MLS, but also put it on every social media platform that I have, including LinkedIn and Instagram, and I'm trying to get better with TikTok. I hate making videos of myself, so that is a problem. But anyway, I work to get the word out as many ways as I can. And if it's calling somebody in that area and saying, hey, do you know someone that needs a 4-bedroom house or 40 acres of land, or if it's the adjacent owner and it's a land transaction, I will call them or knock on their door or whatever and say, hey, are you looking to buy some more acreage? Because I have relatives that say they don't want to own it, relatives and clients, so they don't want to own all the world. They just want to own what joins them. So, so that's why it's a natural fit for me to be able to call or knock on the door of a neighbor and say, look, we're about to put this on the market. Are you looking to buy anything, and a lot of times it's no because they can't afford it, or no, they didn't pay that much for theirs, and they're not gonna pay $10,000 an acre for this, that, whatever. But I like to go all out for my people. Like I say, I like to treat my clients like I'm their mama bear and bite the hand that comes out and tries to take something from them. Can be a bad thing, but anyway, that's who I am.
And finally, how can people connect with you or learn more about what you do?
Okay, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, X, I like to call it X. I'm now on TikTok. You can't connect with me real well because I only have, I think, one video there, but I'm going to improve that. I'm also on YouTube. You can see some of the homes I've videoed and sold lately, or some of the new ones that are on the market. You can also see an area that's commercial that I've been working on for 6 years. Some of those commercial deals can take forever. And one of the reasons this one has taken so long is we had some problems with the city understanding what infrastructure was. It was not really a city, it's just a town. And my client was really hip on helping this town generate more revenue so that they could fund their charter schools. And so he went all in with a truck stop on I-22, and their city attorney has fought us every way he could because he did not understand what an infrastructure bond is. I am going to introduce us to an infrastructure bond attorney. He'll be on this show with me. I love the man. He is so comical. I may need to get him on here every other week because he has just the most gregarious personality, but he's also brilliant and can explain all about the infrastructure bonds that we work with. There's nothing else like them. The clients can use that money free for 2 years, and then 4 years if that's absolutely necessary. And it doesn't cost the city anything, but it helps them get infrastructure, which is one of the things that is the worst for us here in Alabama. We do not have all the infrastructure we need for all the data centers or for commercial or even for homes. And so we can work with developers, commercial developers, residential developers, any kind, to bring in an infrastructure bond that'll cover all of your lateral assets. Will not cover the building, but it'll cover the roads, the utilities, the signage, even sewer, and that's what we need to bring to our community. And I just look forward to educating you a little about that. And like I say, and having my guest on that is brilliant and humorous, and I hope you'll tune in. He'll be one of my first guests.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of No Excuses with Deanna Parrish. We hope the insights shared today help you take the next step toward optimizing. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. And don't forget to catch the next episode for more insights.
Thanks for spending some time with me today. This is No Excuses with Deanna Parrish. Be sure to tune in to the next episode for more real estate insights right here in Jasper and across Alabama.